कृष्णपदान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी इति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचना गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna devotees, let us chant our verses. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janmadasya yatonvayaditarataschaarteshvabhijnaswarat Tene brahmhridaya adi kavaye muhyanti atsuraya तेजो वारि मृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि। धर्मः प्रोजितकैतवोऽत्र परमो निर्मत्सराणां सताम् वेद्यं वास्तवमत्र वस्तु शिवदं तापत्रयोन्मूलनम्। श्रीमद्भागवते महामुनिकृते किं वा परैरीश्वरः सद्योरिद्यवरुद्धतेऽत्र कृतिभिः शुश्रूषुभिस्तत्क्षणात् निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं शुकमुखादमृतद्रवसंयुतं पिबत भागवतं रसमालयम् मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुकाः। सवै पुंसां परो धर्मो यतो भक्तिरधोक्षजे अहैतुक्य प्रतिहता ययात्मा सुप्रसीदति वदन्ति तत्त्वविदस्तत्त्वं यज्ञानमद्वयं ब्रह्मेति परमात्मेति भगवानिति शब्दते। अतः पुंबेर्दुजश्रेष्ठा वर्णाश्रम विभागशः स्वनुष्ठितस्य धर्मस्य संसिद्धिर्हरितोषणम्। एते चांशकला पुंसः कृष्णस्तु भगवान् स्वयम् इन्द्रारिव्याकुलं लोकं मृडयन्ति युगे युगे। तद्वाग्विसर्गो जनताघविप्लवो यस्मिन् प्रतिश्लोकमभद्वदपि नामान्यनन्तस्य यशोऽङ्कितानि यत् शृण्वन्ति गायन्ति गृह्णन्ति साधवः। यस्यां वै श्रूयमाणायां कृष्णे परमपुरुषे भक्तिरुत्पद्यते पुंसः शोकमोहभयापहा। आत्मा रामाश्च मुनयो निर्ग्रन्था पुरुक्रमे कुर्वन्त्यहेतुकीं भक्तिम् इत्थं भूतगुणो हरिः। त्वयिमेनन्य विषया मतिर्मधुपते सकृत् रतिमुद्वहता दद्धा गंगेव उघमुदन्वती। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. Dear devotees, thank you very much for joining our study of Granthara Śrīmad Bhāgavatam through the Bhakti Vaibhava course. And today we are continuing from Canto 1, Chapter 9, entitled The Passing Away of Shri Bhishma Dev, text 26 onwards. Shripad Narad Muni is describing to Maharaj Yudhishthir the activities of Shri Bhishma Dev. पुरुषस्वभाव विहितान् यथा वर्णं यथा श्रमं वैराग्य रागोपाधिभ्याम् आम्नातो भयलक्षणान्. Translations and purports by our most revered founder Acharya Om Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivrajaka Shtottar Shata Shri Śrīmad Abhay Charanar Vinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. At Maharaj Yudhishthir's inquiry, Bhishma Dev first defined all the classifications of castes and orders of life in terms of the individual's qualifications. Then Shri Bhishma Dev systematically in twofold divisions described counteraction by detachment and interaction by attachment. So these are all the descriptions of Shri Suta Goswami. I beg your pardon. It is Shri Suta Uvachan. Shri Suta Goswami is describing. In Mahabharata, it is described in the Shanti Parva in great detail. All these instructions of Shri Bhishma Dev to Maharaj Yudhishthir, they are described in detail. In fact, the majority of Mahabharata is these instructions. It is the largest section of Mahabharata. So, in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, those teachings of Shri Bhishma Dev to Maharaj Yudhishthir are summarized in just few verses. The essence is given. So, a description is there what Bhishma Dev spoke upon, what topics. This is from the Shanti Parva of Mahabharata, beginning from the 60th chapter onwards. So in the second paragraph, in the first paragraph, Srila Prabhupada, in the purport, explains that the 4 occupational duties and 4 spiritual duties, Varna Ashram, the system is created by Lord Krishna himself. Who can quote those words from Shri Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says that I am the creator of the system? Yes, Ajay Govind Prabhu.
Prabhu, I thought you were asking the 4 Varnas. Sorry.
No problem. You can
I
tell
was referring to
Varnas
this 14-13 verse which was there, right? So, Chaturvarna Maya
Bas. Yes.
Karma Vibhaksha.
Yes. According to Guna and Karma, I have divided them. Very good. So here Srila Prabhupada writes in the second paragraph, the Varnashram Dharma is prescribed for the civilized human being just to train human being to successfully terminate human life. Interesting, na? We talk about art of living, but the real art of living is to learn what is the art of dying. Art of dying. Srila Prabhupada writes, the Varnashram Dharma is just to train human being to successfully terminate human life. How to die. So Bhishma Dev advised for all human beings 9 qualifications. Please listen carefully. This is the essence of all the teachings of Bhishma Dev that Srila Prabhupada is summarizing in this verse. Very beautiful, very interesting. Bhishma Dev is saying that for all human beings, if someone wants to be known as a human being, then 9 qualifications are required. Without these 9 qualifications, a person cannot be called a human being. What are the 9 things? One should not become angry. Number 2, one should not lie. Number 3, one should equally distribute wealth. Number 4, one should forgive. Number 5, one should beget children only by one's legitimate wife. Number 6, one should be pure in mind and hygienic in the body. Mind should be pure and the body also should be hygienic. One should not be inimical toward anyone. One should be simple living. And number 9, one should support one's servants or subordinates. Those who are dependent on us, we should take care of them. We should always support them and take responsibility for them. One cannot be called a civilized person without acquiring the above mentioned preliminary qualities. So for every human being, these 9 qualities have to be developed. Bhishma Dev says, to not become angry, to not lie, to equally distribute wealth, to forgive, to beget children by one's legitimate wife only, to be pure in the mind and hygienic in the body. One should not be inimical toward anyone. One should be simple, and one should support one's subordinates and servants. One cannot be called a civilized person without acquiring the above mentioned preliminary qualities. Besides these, there are special qualities for the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. So these 9 qualities are required to enter Varnashram. Because see, these are the preliminary qualities. Then besides these, the Brahmanas, the administrative men, the mercantile community, and the laborer class must acquire special qualities in terms of their occupational duties. Varna, and then ashram will be described. So these are the 9 basic qualities. Okay. Now, what are the qualities that a Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra specially should acquire? Number 1, for the Brahmanas. Srila Prabhupada writes, for the intelligent class of men, that is the Brahmanas, controlling the senses is the most essential qualification. Controlling the senses, most important qualification. It is the basis of morality. It is a basis of morality. Sex indulgence, even with one's legitimate wife, must also be controlled. This is the natural family planning, Srila Prabhupada says. This means one must seriously make a study of the Vedic literatures, especially of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam and Bhagavad Gita. Once a disciple of Srila Prabhupada came to Srila Prabhupada and they were having a discussion. And this devotee, he wanted to take responsibility for being the leader of a community. In those days, there were very few devotees. So once you are 1 year old in Krishna consciousness or 2 years old in Krishna consciousness, you are considered senior. This is the early years of Krishna consciousness. So Srila Prabhupada asked him, are you chanting 16 rounds? And he said, yes, Prabhupada. Are you studying my books every day? He said, yes, Prabhupada. I read your books every day. Prabhupada got angry. Prabhupada said, no, not read every day. Are you studying my books every day? There is a Prabhupada said, I'm quoting. Prabhupada said, there is a difference between reading and studying. Prabhupada said, studying my books is what I want. What is the meaning of study my books? Important verses should be memorized. Prabhupada said, I am giving word to word of the Sanskrit so that you can understand every word of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. And you have to study my purports deeply. That is called studying my books, not just reading. He said, reading, you can do any book. You can read magazines, you can read novels, and you can read my books. What is the difference? No, you have to study my books, carefully analyze, study, take notes, understand what I'm saying. Here also Srila Prabhupada is saying, this means a Brahman must seriously make a study of the Vedic literatures, especially Śrīmad Bhāgavatam and Śrīmad Bhagavad Gita. These two books we have to seriously study. And we must cultivate good qualities. Otherwise, Prabhupada says, a person cannot become a teacher. A teacher is a Brahman because Pathan is the duty of a Brahman. Pathan means to study, Pathan means to teach. Prabhupada says one cannot be a teacher if one is not following the regulative principles. If one is smoking or drinking alcohol, one cannot become a teacher. So this is moral life. Srila Prabhupada says we have to practice. Acharan should come before we do prachar. In the next paragraph, Srila Prabhupada says, in addition to those 9 qualities, what special qualities a Kshatriya should inculcate? To give charity and not to accept charity in any circumstances. Only a Brahman is allowed to accept charity. That also when the Brahman is doing something, some substantial spiritual service for the person from whom he is receiving. Otherwise, the Brahman also becomes implicated. A Kshatriya should give charity and not accept charity. Srila Prabhupada writes, the administrative class of men, that is the Kshatriyas, must be well versed in Shastra, but must not take to the profession of teachers. See the subtle difference here. A Kshatriya should know the Shastra, but is not allowed to teach. See the difference? Only a Brahman is allowed to teach because a Brahman is living a simple lifestyle. A Kshatriya may be collecting taxes, may be rich. A Brahman is not financially rich traditionally. So Kshatriya should be well versed in Shastra. Why? Because without knowing Shastra, one cannot become an administrator. How can one implement laws if one doesn't know the law? Isn't it? To study the Vedas means to know the laws. So therefore a Kshatriya, to enforce the laws, must know the laws. So should be well versed in Shastra, but must not take to the profession of teachers. He cannot accept charity. Because teachers can accept charity. Brahmanas can accept charity. The Kshatriyas should never pretend to be non-violent. Otherwise they'll go to hell, Srila Prabhupada says. They'll go to hell. A Kshatriya should never pretend to be non-violent. When Arjun, look at Srila Prabhupada's strong language. When Arjun wanted to become a non-violent coward, look at Prabhupada's language. Strong. When Arjun wanted to become a non-violent coward on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Arjun was severely chastised by Lord Krishna. A Kshatriya should not make a show of being non-violent. Where violence is required, it has to be used. Like they say in Hindi, "Laatho ke bhoot, baaton se nahi mante." Sometimes you have to be strong. Administrative class means Kshatriyas must be personally trained in military education. Nowadays, the defense minister or even the general or the admiral or the all highly placed military commanders, They are simply sitting in front of a computer screen and phone, and they are giving orders. Go attack, drop the bombs. They never come on the battlefield because their life is very precious. But this is cowardice. If they are at an age where they are too old to fight on the front lines, just retire. Kshatriya means he leads from the front lines. So they should be personally trained in military education. Otherwise, you are just a defense minister. You have never picked up a gun in your hand and fought the miscreants. How can you be Kshatriya? You are not Kshatriya. So Srila Prabhupada very clearly says. Next paragraph, the Vaishyas or the mercantile community, Vaishyas, what is their special quality, special duty? They are advised to protect the cows. Very interesting. Srila Prabhupada writes that a Kshatriya protects the human beings. A Kshatriya protects the human beings and a Vaishya protects the animals. So agriculture and distribution of foodstuff are the primary duties of the Vaishyas. And they are also backed by education in Vedic knowledge. So they are also taught Vedic knowledge and they also cannot teach. Vaishyas should know the Vedas, but they cannot teach. Only a Brahman can teach. And therefore, a Vaishya is trained to give in charity. There are so many examples in the 10th canto of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. In the Vrindavan Leela about Krishna, Balram and their friends. Can someone raise your hand and explain what I'm trying to hint at? Vaishyas are trained to give charity. I'm being very subtle. Okay, Amrit Karan Prabhu?
Yeah,
Example
voices like Nanda Baba and other soloists, they are going to like give charity to the Kangsha like that way, taxes, and to the charity also.
Kansa is different. Kansa is Kshatriya, so they are paying taxes.
Yeah, charity also to the tenants. Yeah, like who are coming to them always.
Okay.
Sudra, we have seen a lot of time.
Okay. Meenakshi Vraj, yes, Prabhu, that's good. Meenakshi Vraj Gopi Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. During Nandotsav.
Yes. That is exactly what I was saying. During Nandotsav. And every year on the birthday also. During the Kaliyadaban Leela, where was Balramji? Sandeep
It was Balramji's birthday.
So where was he?
He was doing the charity to Brahmanas and all within Anubhav.
Yes, very good. So there are examples like that. On birthdays, the Vaishyas would not go and play. They would stay at home because they had to give in charity. They had to attend puja conducted by the Brahmanas and they would give charity. So giving charity is a duty of the Vaishya because they are earning wealth. As the Kshatriyas are given charge of protection of the citizens, Vaishyas were given charge of protection of animals. Animals are never meant to be killed. Srila Prabhupada says, animals are never meant to be killed. Killing of animals is a symptom of a barbarian society. Barbarian society. In the next paragraph, Srila Prabhupada writes the special duties of the Shudra. The Shudra or the laborer class is less intelligent, which means they are not studied in the Vedic literatures. The Shudras are less intelligent and should have no independence. See the logic. So who should get independence? One who is trained, one who has intelligence. Without intelligence, there should be no power given. Shudras are less intelligent, they are not studied in the Vedic Shastra, so they have no independence. How can you give power to someone who is not controlled and guided by the Vedas? That will simply create an animalistic society. Ahara nidra bhayamaithunamscha samanametat pashubhir narana Dharmo hi tesham adhiko vishesho dharmena hina pashubhir samana. Ahar, nidra, bhaya, maithun, eating, sleeping, mating, defending, animals also do and humans also do. Samana metat pashubhir narana. Both do. Animals also, birds also eat, sleep, mate, defend. So do we. Birds build their nest. Animals live in den or in forest or they in burrows underground. And we have our apartments and homes. So what is different between animals and us? What is the difference? Dharmo hi tesham adhiko vishesho. It is the practice of dharma that differentiates us from the animals. Our ahar, nidra, bhaya, maithun is in the maryada, in the boundary of dharma. Dharmo hi tesham adhiko vishesho. The special thing in us, adhik, is dharma. That is the visheshta, specialty. And dharmena hina, without dharma, we are pashubhir samana. And a human being is no better than an animal. A human being is two-legged animal without dharma. So Shudras, they don't know what is dharma, therefore they have no independence. Their duty is to render sincere service to the three higher sections of society, to serve the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas. That is the duty of the Shudras. And therefore Srila Prabhupada writes, Shudra should never bank money. A Shudra should not be allowed to accumulate money, because if they have money, money is power. They will use the money in wrong things. So as soon as Shudras accumulate wealth, it will be misused. Therefore, for beggars also, we should avoid giving cash. They are likely to misuse it. Better to give them prasad. Better to give them clothes, which they can directly use. Shudra should never bank money. As soon as a Shudra has money, it will be misused in sinful activities like wine, women, and gambling. Wine, women, and gambling indicate that the population is degraded to less than Shudra quality. You see, to be a Shudra also, you have to follow those 9 rules. So if someone is indulging in wine, women, and gambling, breaking the regulative principles, basically intoxication, illicit sex, gambling, it indicates that the population is degraded. And animal killing is already prohibited. We saw Vaishyas. Animals are never meant to be killed. Killing animal is symptom of barbarian society. Those who kill animals and eat their flesh, they are barbarians. They are not civilized humans. So the population is degraded to less than Shudra if we are indulging in wine, women, and gambling. The higher classes of men or people, human beings, should always look after the maintenance of the Shudra. So it is the duty of the Brahmanas, Vaishyas, and Kshatriyas to look after the Shudra community. They should be taken care of. They should have clothes. They should have food. Roti, kapda, makan. Srila Prabhupada writes, the Shudras must first of all be satisfied with sumptuous food and clothing. Now, in India, there is the concept of having servants. In the Western world, that word carries a very negative connotation. If you use the word servant, because previously in America, there was slavery, and a certain community of people were made into slaves forcefully. So the word servant or slavery carries a very negative connotation. Many times it has happened to me. We have this secure chat in our electronic health record, in our hospital, our medical health records, EMR, electronic medical record system. There is a secure chat where we can securely chat with doctors, with physical therapists, occupational therapists, social workers, nurses. We can chat all the time. Many times we are tuned in our spiritual life. So we are texting devotees and we are saying, we are writing Hare Krishna, we are writing your humble servant. And it has happened several times to me. I have, to the nurses or other colleagues while communicating, written, your humble servant, things like that. And then they feel that I'm joking, or I'm being rude calling myself servant, because the word servant carries a very negative, it has a very negative connotation to it. Servant, it reminds them of slavery. So, but in the spiritual life, it is essential that we take care of the dependents. And I have seen in India where it is very common to have servants in the house who help with cleaning, with assisting in cooking, and so many other things. Growing up in the place where I grew up, a small town, where practically every well-to-do family had servants. And we have seen that those who give good food to their servants, and on Diwali and other days give them nice clothes to wear, those clothes the servants would wear happily for the whole year. The servants would never go and shop clothes for themselves. They would get it on special occasions, Diwali, Dasra, and those clothes they would wear for the rest of their for the year. That same dhoti, that same kurta, that same sari they would wear for the rest of the year happily. This madam gave or this sir gave, like that. And similarly, food, they would not cook. Whatever is there in the house, they would eat. So if they are given proper food, they are given a nice accommodation in the servant quarters, and they are given nice clothes, even if their salary is little less, they will never leave. This has been seen. They will never leave. They will be with you for 30 years, 40 years. They will never leave. So Srila Prabhupada writes that principle. Shudras must first of all be satisfied with sumptuous food and clothing. Next paragraph. The main purpose of, so what did we discuss? Raise your hand. Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. These are Varnas or these are ashrams? Please raise your hand. Yes, Ajay Govind Prabhu.
So these are the Varnas.
These are the Varnas. Very good. Okay.
Prabhu, that's my mistake.
No problem. So these are the Varnas. Now, in this paragraph, after discussing the duties of the Varnas, Shri Bhishma Dev is describing the duties of the ashrams. What are the 4 ashrams? Yes, Kirta Sundari Mataji.
Prabhuji, Brahmacharya, Grahastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyas.
Very good. These are the ashrams. So now the ashrams are described. The main purpose of ashram dharma, that is brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha and sannyasi, is to awaken knowledge and detachment. Here we saw that the purpose is to know how to successfully terminate human life, the art of dying. Okay. And now specifically in the Varnas, we are taught knowledge and detachment, because without spiritual knowledge and without detachment from matter, can we go back to Godhead? Can we attain Krishna? No. In Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami writes, very important verse. Jivhara lalasaya ithi utidhai, Shishnodara parayana Krishna nahi pai. If for the tongue we are running here and there, this restaurant, that restaurant, and our belly and our genitals are not controlled. We are controlled by the genitals and we are controlled by the belly. Shishnodara, Shishno means genitals, Udar means belly. If we are Shishnodara Parayan, we are controlled by the genitals and the belly, and our tongue is not controlled. We are running here and there. Oh, today there is an invitation here. Let me go. Oh, ye acha Chinese banate, idhar jao. Oh, idhar acha dal bati milta, idhar jao. If this is the mentality as devotees, then Shishnodara Parayana, Krishna nahi paye. We will not get Krishna. We will get nice food, we will get nice sense gratification, but we will not get Krishna. We will not get Krishna. Therefore, Mahaprabhu has come to teach Vairagya and Vidya. Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yoga Shiksharthameka Purusha Purana. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Sharirādhari Kripam Bhutiriyastamaham Prapadde. Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yoga. The purpose of ashram dharma is to awaken knowledge and detachment. The brahmachari ashram is the training ground, Srila Prabhupada writes. It's a training period, student period. The brahmachari ashram is training. What is the training? That this material world is not actually the home of the living entity. Just see, cutting straight to the essence. This material world is not the home for us. That is taught in the first 25 years of life as brahmachari. 25 years brahmachari, 25 years grahastha, 25 years vanapras, 25 years sannyasi. If average lifespan in Kali Yuga is 100 years, now it is not average. Average is between 70 to 80, or maybe a little more in some countries. But 75 to 85, let's say, is the average life. So first quarter should be in education, second quarter should be in family life, third quarter should be detachment from family life, getting out of family life through vanaprastha. And the last quarter of life should be completely renounced, sannyasi. So the purpose of ashram dharma is to awaken knowledge and detachment. Brahmachari ashram is the training ground. What is the training? That material world is not our actual home. And what is the aim of human life? Self-realization is the ultimate aim of life. What is self-realization? To understand who we are. Jivara Swarupa Krishna Nityadas. And spiritually, ultimately to understand what is our personal individual relationship with Krishna. What is our eternal seva. To understand that is the actual aim of life. Then Srila Prabhupada says, one who fails to assimilate the spirit of vairagya, the spirit of detachment, is allowed to enter into family life with the same spirit of detachment. One who fails to assimilate the spirit of detachment. So by studying about the purpose of life of the brahmachari, some of them will be so intelligent that they will say, "Arey bhai, I don't want to get into this material life. It is such a trap. Such a trap. Nahi chahiye. I want to remain a brahmachari. I don't want to get into grahastha ashram." Some will be very wise and they will remain naishtik brahmachari. But those who cannot control their senses, they are allowed to enter into family life. But with the same spirit of detachment. Someday, right now I cannot control my senses. I am young. My hormone levels are high and therefore I cannot control my senses. I have a desire for enjoyment. So I will enter a grahastha ashram, but my understanding is I am not going to stay as a grahastha all my life. I am going to get out of material attachments and I will develop detachment someday. That spirit is there before one enters grahastha ashram. That understanding is there. Allowed to enter into family life with the same spirit of detachment. And further on, Srila Prabhupada says, household life is for one who is attached. This should make all of us humble. Except Amrit Karan Prabhu. Very great to see someone in saffron. Very great. The spirit of accepting saffron is that today I accept this cloth, color of Mahaprabhu's cloth. And for the rest of my life, I will not give up saffron. Even when I die, my body will be wrapped in saffron only. Never again I will accept anything else. That is the spirit of Vairagya. Mahaprabhu. Household life is for one who is attached. And the Vanaprastha and Sannyas orders of life are for those who are detached from material life. And Srila Prabhupada writes, the Brahmachari ashram is especially meant for training both the attached and the detached. Brahmachari ashram is the foundation. Those who are detached, they remain Naishtik Brahmacharis. Those who are attached, after proper training in Brahmachari ashram, they enter Grihastha ashram with the intention of taking Vanaprastha. Therefore, Anand Vrindavan Prabhu, he says that before getting married to Her Grace Tulsi Mataji, when Anand Vrindavan Prabhu asked his Guru Maharaj, Srila Radhanath Swami Maharaj, what important instruction Maharaj would like to give me before I enter Grahastha ashram. At that time, Maharaj told him that the ideal Grahastha is one who has planned his Vanaprastha life before becoming a Grahastha. Hare Krishna. We should have an exit strategy before we enter Grahastha ashram. I remember hearing so many times with deep emotion, Srila Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj, so many times, directly I have heard from him, several times. That very sweet encounter that Srila Bhakti Charu Maharaj had with Srila Prabhupada. And Maharaj writes about it even in the book, The Ocean of Mercy. What did Srila Prabhupada instruct? This one life you give me. This one life you give to Krishna and just see what happens. And Srila Bhakti Charu Maharaj promised Srila Prabhupada. He received first initiation, second initiation, and third initiation. Sannyas Diksha also from Srila Prabhupada. All three. He promised, Prabhupada, I promise you, this life is for you. This life is for Krishna consciousness. And Srila Bhakti Charu Maharaj kept that promise, always remembering it. In so many lectures, this thing would come up. Maharaj would always say, Prabhupada told me, just give this one life to Krishna and see what happens. And I promised Prabhupada. So that is called detachment. But Brahmacharya ashram is meant for both. Some will remain Naishtik Brahmacharis, some may take sannyas later on. But some Brahmacharis, being attached, they will go on to become Grihasthas. For someone who is attached, that's a natural progression. Natural progression to become a Grihastha. But not Griha Medhi, Grihastha. And a Grihastha later on becomes Vanaprastha. Some of them will later on become sannyasis. So, a sannyasi is completely detached. Completely detached. Srila Prabhupada said, what is the definition of sannyas? Sannyas means socially dead. Socially dead. No going for weddings, going for birthday parties, going for this, going for that. Sometimes it is very unfortunate. In the month of Kartik, devotees should be doing bhajan. And even senior devotees who are in their 70s. Now body is not giving support, body is dwindling and death is coming. And they don't want to go to the holy dham in the month of Kartik. Why? Because this relative ki shadi hai, this, that is so unfortunate. Just today I was talking to one devotee and asking, are you coming to Vrindavan? And the devotee is completely retired now. Many years ago, they have retired. And many years ago retired means what? We have to go deeper and deeper in Krishna consciousness. But even now in the 70s, what is this relative, that relative is getting married, that friend is getting married, so we have to attend them. No, we can justify, I want to do this, oh, we have to keep relationships, oh, man is a social animal. We are not animals. We are not animals. The whole teaching of Krishna consciousness is to raise us above the animal platform. What marriage? What is this? Unless it's a devotee getting married and there is going to be kirtan and distribution of Krishna Prasad and some senior devotee is going to give a class. It's a completely Vedic devotee marriage. That is all right. That is glorious. But going to materialistic places with family members, relatives and family friends who are not devotees and spending hours udhar saj dhaj ke, wearing all good clothes and putting makeup. What consciousness? Such a pollution, such a degradation, just to maintain some relationships which will never come to any use when we die. These relatives, these friends whose weddings we are attending, or get-togethers or gatherings we are attending, they will never help us at the time of death. So this a devotee should understand. But a sannyasi is teaching us by the exemplary conduct A sannyasi is completely detached. Guru Kripa Prabhu, disciple of Srila Prabhupada, very wonderful devotee, Guru Kripa Prabhu mentions that in the early years of Krishna consciousness, when they would distribute Back to Godhead magazines on the streets of America to get some money, they would earn in an entire day, they would earn $10, $15 per devotee. And at the end of the day, they would come to Srila Prabhupada's room and offer. Prabhupada, today, distributed Back to Godhead magazines, I got $15. Prabhupada, today I got $10. And Prabhupada would encourage them. Very good, $10. Imagine there are 20, 30 brahmacharis going, or not just brahmacharis, grihasthas also, Matajis, Prabhus, they are going. Everybody is bringing $10, $15 every day. Just see how it adds up. Then Prabhupada can pay the rent. Prabhupada can pay the rent for the temple. And that's how everything was going on. And preaching. People are getting magazines, they are getting preached, they come for the programs in the evening. And that's how the congregation grew. So Prabhupada would encourage them, yes, very good, you got $10, very nice. And Prabhupada would keep them, count them, keep them carefully. But Guru Kripa Prabhu was saying, as years went by, and we got initiated and we started taking more and more responsibility in Krishna consciousness, Guru Kripa Prabhu said that we would have book distribution marathons. And after one marathon, I came and gave Prabhupada $100,000 US. $1 lakh. $100,000 US collected in 1 month through the December book distribution marathon. Guru Kripa, I personally came and gave Prabhupada $100,000 cash. And Prabhupada just took it, kept it aside, did not even say thank you. Earlier, Prabhupada would say thank you for $10. Now I'm giving $100,000. Prabhupada is just keeping, and just as if nothing, as if I gave nothing. So why? Guru Kripa was saying, why? Why this change? Because initially we were new devotees. Most of us were not even initiated. We had just come to Krishna consciousness. To encourage us, Srila Prabhupada would say thank you. Is a guru supposed to say thank you? For what? Who should say thank you? Who should say thank you? Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagyavana Jiva Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. It is our Aho Bhagyam. It is our great fortune that Srila Prabhupada is engaging us in service of Guru and Krishna, distributing books. But initially, that understanding is not there. So, good. Thank you. But when that devotee took initiation, the devotee had spent few years in Krishna consciousness, the devotee had gained understanding of Guru-Shishya relationship. Srila Prabhupada is establishing a Siddhanta with this exemplary behavior. What Siddhanta? 2 Siddhantas. Number 1, as a sannyasi, Srila Prabhupada is completely detached from wealth. When do you say thank you? If there is a personal favor. Are personal favor thodi kar rahe Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada is completely manasa deha geha jo kichu mor arpilu tua pade nanda kishore. Srila Prabhupada is completely his namaum Vishnu pada. He is always at the lotus feet of Krishna. He has nothing of his akinchan. So why Srila Prabhupada should say thank you? Kuch personal favor thodi le rahe aapse. Ki thank you. Yes sir, no sir bolenge. Srila Prabhupada is completely akinchan. What? He is doing everything on behalf of Krishna. It is between you and Krishna. Srila Prabhupada is a transparent via medium between you and Krishna as a guru. That is the first Siddhanta. And what is the second Siddhanta? Don't do service with the expectation of thank you. You should do ahaituki. Bhakti is ahaituki. Mama janmani janmanishware bhavatat bhaktir ahaituki tvai. Even if there is no thank you, there is no words of glorification. We are not doing it for glorification, recognition, that in the morning before japa session it should be announced that this Prabhu has distributed so many books. No, the devotees are doing, that is their kindness to encourage me. But that is not my name should appear in on some plaque on the wall or in some magazine that I did this seva. No, Prabhupada is teaching that it is your duty to distribute those books. It is your duty to bring $100,000 during marathon. One Srila Prabhupada asked, Srila Prabhupada, what can we do for you? You have done so much. We are here living completely unaware of Krishna, living a life of hippies. What can we do for you? Srila Prabhupada said, what can you do for me? What will you give me? What can we give Prabhupada? Think about it for a second. What can we give Prabhupada? Prabhupada is coming from Chintamani Dham. Golok Vrindavan. Every grain of sand is Chintamani. What can we give to Prabhupada? Prabhupada has got Krishna. Krishna se tomar. Krishna dite paro tomara shakati ache. Person who has got Krishna, what can we give that person? Nothing. It is our great good fortune that Srila Prabhupada is accepting us as humble servants of the servants. It is our great fortune. Srila Prabhupada would never say thank you later on to these disciples. Never. To teach them that, beta, this is your duty. This is your duty. You are benefiting by doing this seva. Very, very sweet reflection by Guru Kripa Prabhu. The transition from being a new bhakta to a dedicated disciple. Ki gala bhi kaat ke, even if we have to give our life at your lotus feet, it is nothing for what Srila Prabhupada has given. Even if we rip our skin and make chappals for Srila Prabhupada and give, it is nothing for what Srila Prabhupada has done. He has saved us from unlimited punishment in hell. That's where we were headed. Bilkul ticket leke flight mein badh gaye the hum to go to hell. We are going at the speed of jet. Srila Prabhupada was asked, Srila Prabhupada, why are you traveling by these jet airplanes so much? Prabhupada said, people are going to hell at the speed of the jet airplanes. I also have to get in jet airplanes and stop them. Rescue them. That was Srila Prabhupada's mission. So verse number 27. Dana dharman, raja dharman, moksha dharman, vibhagashaha, stri dharman, bhagavad dharman, samasa vyasa yogataha. Shri Bhishma Dev then explained by divisions, acts of charity and practical activities of a king and activities for salvation. Then Bhishma Dev described the duties of women, Stri Dharma, and the Dharma of the devotees, Bhagavad Dharma. Both briefly and extensively. Samasa, general, and Vyasa, explicitly, specifically. He described in both ways, giving a summary and then elaborating on it also. Purport. To give charity, Srila Prabhupada ji writes in the purport, to give charity is one of the householder's main functions. And a householder should be prepared to give in charity at least 50% of his hard-earned money. This is very important, my dear friends. Janmashtami is coming. As Grihasthas, it is our main duty to earn artha, to earn wealth and give it to Krishna. Very important business for Grihasthas. If we are not giving donations, we are Grihamedhis. Breaks my heart. Many times I have seen devotees, they are making very good salary, making a lot of money, but they are very tight-fisted. Muthi nahi khulti when it comes to donation. They are always there to get prasad, always there to receive, but they don't want to give. They think it is not their duty to give donation. And they will give many excuses. Oh no, this year bahut kharcha ho gaya. Oh, abhi ye hai, wo hai, very difficult. Or they will say that, oh, I'm not sure whether this money will be used properly or not. Arey bhai, that is not your outlook. You give it for Krishna. You have to support Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON. You give it to ISKCON. Using your Vivek Buddhi, your discriminating intelligence, which project is close to your heart. There are many projects in ISKCON. Local temple we have to support, and there are other projects also which we have to support. It may be TOVP, it may be Goshala in some farm community. There are so many things, sponsoring Bhagavad Gitas. So many projects are there in ISKCON. We must give. And how the money is used, that is not our lookout. Krishna doesn't see that. Krishna sees what we have given, what purpose and what intention. But if as Grihasthas we are not giving cash, we are not giving money in donation, there is no excuse. We are really Grihamedis. Really Grihamedis. Who will give charity if Grihasthas don't give charity? Will Brahmacharis give? Will Vanaprasthas give who have no income? Or will Sannyasis give? Only Grihasthas, my dear friends. Of these 4 ashrams, Brahmachari ashram, Grihastha ashram, Vanaprastha ashram, and Sannyas ashram, there is only out of 4 ashrams, only 1 ashram has the capacity, capability, and responsibility and duty to give money in charity. So don't tell me that you are volunteering. Prabhu, Janmashtami I cannot give, but I will be managing the bookstore. Or I will be managing the prasad counter, Prabhuji. I am doing seva, na? I am giving myself. Oh, paisa nahi. This is very bad. You live in nice houses, you drive nice cars, you wear nice clothes, you even eat in restaurants. So when it comes to spending for yourself, you are very generous. But when it comes to giving for the mission of Guru Maharaj, during Diksha you have taken a vow, I will serve in the mission of Srila Prabhupada in the mood of servant of the servant of the servant. But they don't want to give charity. And then they come asking for a letter of recommendation for initiation. Prabhuji, Diksha kara do. Of course, I cannot ask. Tell me whether you are, as a Grihastha, whether you are fulfilling your Grihastha Dharma of giving charity or not. I cannot ask. It may be taken as inappropriate. They may feel offended, or I don't know what they will feel. But it breaks my heart when devotees come and ask for a letter of recommendation for initiation, and they are not as Grihasthas, they are not financially contributing. This is very wrong. Even when I talk to my colleagues in the hospital, those who are Christians, they give 10% of their income to the church. So here Srila Prabhupada is writing, be prepared to give in charity at least 50% of hard-earned income. We should make sure that our money is used in the service of Krishna. And if we don't have so much money that we cannot, day before yesterday, I was speaking to a devotee, a businessman, very wonderful devotee. And he honestly told me that, Prabhuji, I can show you the receipts. He's a businessman. He said, I have a policy. I give 51% of my business profits. 51% of my business profits to ISKCON, to Srila Prabhupada. So I can show you. It has been a rule when I founded this company. And by Krishna's mercy, he is doing very well. Krishna takes care of his devotees. ऐसा थोड़ी होगा कि somebody is giving to Krishna and then dying of starvation. ऐसा होगा क्या? Krishna is providing for the elephants in the forests. Krishna will not provide for us, for his devotees. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada had a disciple. When Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada wanted to build the first Gaudiya Math temple. The first Gaudiya Math temple, Bagh Bazaar in Kolkata. As soon as he realized that Gurudev wants, he took every penny that he had earned in his life, every bit of his savings, everything he took, and he offered at the lotus feet of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. With that money, from that one Grahastha, the Bagh Bazaar Gaudiya Math temple was built with nice first-class marble, big temple. At the end of that, this Grihastha Vaishnav had nothing left, nothing, not one paisa. He gave away everything, his house, everything he sold. So then Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, now what? You have nothing, you have become akinchan. He said, Gurudev, we have my whole family taken shelter at your lotus feet. So Saraswati Thakur gave them a little room to live in the temple, in the Bagh Bazaar temple. They said, okay, now you live in the temple. That is perfection, to live in the temple. In Bhaktamal also there is a story of Pipaji. They went to the house of a Vaishnav. They had nothing, completely akinchan, but they were completely devoted to Krishna consciousness, always chanting Harinam, husband and wife, very poor. They would do little madhukari, whatever they got, they would quietly eat, and very charitably disposed. Any Vaishnava would come, they would cook with such love, such prem, that when the sannyasi would eat in the kutir, in the hut of that grihastha couple, they would feel such spiritual ecstasy. Advanced devotees know which prasad is high class. As soon as you eat, it affects your consciousness. There is a Babaji in Govindakund, in Shri Vrindavan, next to Giriraj Govardhan. He is in his 90s. And for decades and decades and decades, all his life, he has lived a life of Babaji, chanting 3 lakh every day. Gaudiya Vaishnav. Gaudiya Vaishnav. Very pure. And he's a guru. He had disciples. Of course, now he has entered the Nitya Leela. This happened a few years ago only. And one day he called his disciples. Please listen carefully, my dear friends. He called his disciples and said that, prepare my funeral pyre. Today I will enter fire. And I will give up this body today. Get some firewood and yahi pe, on the banks of Govindakund, mujhe agni de do. Light my body on fire. I want to give up my body. The disciples were shocked. They said, what happened, Gurudev? He said, I'm 93 years old. I have been chanting 3 lakh names every single day. Come hell or high water. Whether it is rainy season, winter, summer, living on the banks of Radhakund at the foot of Giriraj Govardhan. I have been a lifelong brahmachari. Not once I have dropped 1 drop of semen from this body. Urdhvaret. He said, at the age of 93, today I came to take my snan in Govindakund. And some Matajis were taking their bath. They were half dressed. And I got a desire to look at them in that condition. He said, Dhikkar hai mujh par. Fie on me. To hell with this life. How can lusty thoughts even enter my mind? They never enter. But today I got lusty thought. This is abominable. I cannot tolerate to live in this body. I cannot bear to live with this body. Immediately I want to give up my body. My life is a failure because lusty thoughts came in my mind. Disciples were shocked. What is Gurudev saying? Such a Siddha Baba he is. How can this be? But one disciple was very intelligent. He came to know that today Babaji had breakfast. So this happened 3 times a day he would take Govindakund Snan. So this happened at the noon time when he went to take his bath. So he said, Savere breakfast kya? Because he used to not eat a morsel unless 2 lakh was done. He would start bhajan at 1 o'clock and go straight till 11 o'clock. 10 hours. 5 hours for 64 rounds. He would do 2 lakh, 128 rounds before eating the first morsel, first drop of water. So he said, so this happened in the afternoon. He said, what did Babaji have at 11 o'clock for breakfast? Somebody said that today the prasad came from Radha Govindadev temple of Srila Rupa Goswami. Hamare Gaudiya Vaishnava ka it is Sapta Devalaya, one of the 7 main temples, Goswami temples. It came from Radha Govinda temple. So this disciple went there and he asked the pujaris there at Radha Govinda temple that today morning jo bhog chada tha Thakur ji ko, who sponsored that bhoga? So they said, oh, one Gaudiya Vaishnavi from Calcutta, she sponsored. He said, I want to know who she is. Oh, she's sitting there. She sponsored the feast today. So he went to her, offered obeisances and asked her very humbly that, Mother, please tell me about you. Whose disciple are you? What bhajan do you do? So she became very embarrassed. She looked down and she said, I am a prostitute in Calcutta. But to purify myself, to get some sukrati, I have come to Vrindavan Dham and I sponsored this feast for Radha Govinda Dev. So because, see, the consciousness of a sadhu is so subtle, so pure, that little contamination also was picked up. When we eat that, we will not even come to know. Because na shayano patat adha. One who is already on the ground, he will not fall any further down. Already gira hua hai. So for us, nothing, we will not even come to know. We eat in restaurant and nothing happens. Chalta hai. No Indian garden, Jain restaurant tha. Happily we say. Nothing happens because our consciousness is already polluted. But this Babaji, because he had a pure consciousness, one blot, immediately he was able to pick up. So immediately the disciple came and he told Babaji, aapki galti nahi hai. Anna dosh. This is Anna dosh. Today Govinda Devji did not accept the bhoga. Because if Govindadev accepts, it becomes prasad. Prasad only purifies. But Govindadev did not accept for whatever reason. Because it did not, maybe that Mataji did not have pure intentions. This is the Mahaprasad of Radha Govindadev, my dear friends. Imagine, this is a very subtle thing. And when this was explained that today the money that came for sponsoring the prasad was earned through illicit sex, prostitution. So Govindadev is not happy. And see why Govindadev did not accept. Because it was done in a duplicitous way. If someone has that type of earning, and we just come and say that, we tell Gurudev that, Gurudev, this is how I have earned money. I am a rascal. I have broken the regulative principles. This is all black money. Then Gurudev may have the power to purify and tell what prayaschitta we should do. But just slyly coming, posing as a Gaudiya Vaishnavi from Calcutta and sponsoring the feast, thinking कि ये feast sponsor करके मेरे पाप धुल जाएंगे. My sins will get destroyed. This is duplicitous behavior. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada says, Saralta hi Vaishnavta. So immediately the disciple explained to Gurudev, and Gurudev understood it was Anna Dosh. It was not Gurudev's fault. It was Gurudev's greatness that he could pick up that subtle difference, that, oh, this is not prasad. So then, of course, the devotees understood the importance of Anna Dosh. So like that, we have to be very careful. We have to be very strict. It is said that one must give our earnings 50%. If 50% we cannot give, then at least we should make sure that the 100% income that we are earning and maintaining our family, money is not used for wrong purposes. Money is used, all our income is used to support a Krishna conscious simple lifestyle. Saralta hi Vaishnava. Simple living, high thinking. And we must give a portion. We decide 10%, 50%, whatever it is of the profits that we are making, we must give it to Krishna. That rule we have to make. Otherwise, we are grihamedhis. A brahmachari or student should perform sacrifices. A householder should give charity. Renounced order should practice penances and austerities. Clearly, it is mentioned for the different ashrams. Brahmachari should perform sacrifices. What is that sacrifice? Nam Sankirtan. And also, in Bhagavad Gita, it is explained that Swadhyaya is a type of sacrifice. You remember? Swadhyaya also a type of sacrifice where you study and you. Why the brahmachari used to have long shikhas? Anybody knows? Raise your hand if you know. Why the brahmacharis would have long shikhas? Yes, Vamshivadan Prabhu.
Krishna Prabhuji. So shikhas are meant to be tied to the instructions of Sri Guru.
In the previous, literally, up to the time of Srinivas Acharya, it is mentioned. Srila Srinivas Acharya had made a rule. Srinivas Acharya was a great guru in our parampara, disciple of Srila Gopal Bhatta Goswami and Shiksha disciple of Srila Jiva Goswami. In his ashram, the brahmacharis would sit to chant japa, and until they finished 64 rounds, they were not allowed to get up and they were not allowed to sleep. So their shikha used to be tied to a pole behind them. The shikha used to be tied to they would keep long shikha. Shikha used to be tied to a pole, so they cannot do like this. They cannot stand up. They have to sit in one asana. Gurudev himself would tie. Srila Srinivas Acharya. And you sit and you chant 64 rounds. Don't move. 5 hours, 6 hours, don't move until you finish 64 rounds. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur also had a rule in Gaudiya Math that brahmacharis cannot eat unless and until they finish 64 rounds. Imagine. Srila Prabhupada also wanted us to chant 64 rounds, but at that time, place, circumstances, Prabhupada writes that in the Western world, people are not used to chanting for so many hours. They don't have the taste. So Prabhupada said minimum 16 rounds. So whatever is our sankhya minimum, we should chant it in the morning, very seriously, very strictly. And then householder should give charity, and renounced order means vanaprastha and sannyasis, they should practice penances and austerities for purification. We have to perform austerities and penances. Shripad Aindra Prabhu would, he did it, I think, two times, I think he did. The Chandrayan Vrat. Chandrayan Vrat. Very difficult Vrat for purification. Every year he would do the Katyayani Vrat to get Krishna. But he would do the Chandrayan Vrat, where according to the cycle of the moon, you eat. So if it is Like, let's say it is Panchami, the 5th day of the moon cycle. You eat only 5 morsels, not big like that, no. Ghas, 5 morsels, that's it. Shashti, 6 morsels. Saptami, 7 morsels. Ashtami, 8 morsels. Like that you go. On Purnima, you eat 15 morsels. And then it goes on decreasing like that. For a whole month, that vrat is there. Amavasya, complete nirjal, nothing. So, in the renounced order, Shripad Ayandar Prabhu had applied for sannyas. Shripad Ayandar Prabhu wanted to take sannyas from His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. So Shripad Ayandar Prabhu applied for sannyas, and Srila Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj said, "What is the need for giving him sannyas? He's already sannyas. He's so austere, so austere. Just always in kopin, just a little cloth to cover his lower body and a cloth to cover his upper body. Doesn't even wear kurta. So austere, Shripad Ayandar Prabhu. So yes, renounced order is duty to perform penances and austerities. Very quickly, we're already very late. This purport, I'll quickly go through the purport very quickly. Everyone's energy is generated or borrowed from the reservoir of all energy, Krishna. Therefore, we should use our energy in Krishna's loving service. Srila Prabhupada writes, just as rivers draw water from the sea. How rivers draw water from the sea? The sea water evaporates to sun, and as clouds falls into the river, then the river returns that water of the ocean to the ocean. So Srila Prabhupada says, similarly, we get our energy from Krishna, so we should return our energy to Krishna by working for Krishna. Mat karma krin. You have to work for Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada quotes from Bhagavad Gita 9.27. Whatever we do, whatever we undergo as penance, whatever sacrifice we do, whatever we eat, and whatever we give in charity must be offered to Krishna. Quickly raise your hand if you can quote the Sanskrit verse from Bhagavad Gita. Yes, Mukta Sangha Prabhu.
Yajna shishasino santam uchante sarvati punyate tvakam papa ek pratyatmakaram.
Correct. This verse tells us that we should eat prasad. If we don't eat Krishna prasad, then we will get sins. So this talks about Ashnami. This talks about one aspect of offering food to Krishna. Whatever we eat, offer it to Krishna. But the whole verse, Sarojanandini Mataji.
Yattaroshi yadashtasi yajjuhoshi dadasya yattapasyasi kaunteya tatkurushvama darpanam.
Very good. Correct. Next paragraph. Raja Dharma is a great science. What is Raja Dharma? It is the dharma of the king. The kings were trained systematically to become munificent and not merely tax collectors. To lead the praja to the attainment of salvation was a great duty of the king. Who can quote the verse from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, where it says that one cannot become a husband, cannot become a king, cannot become a mother, cannot become a guru, unless one can save one's dependent from the repeated cycle of birth and death. Who can quote the Sanskrit verse and the context?
I don't know full Prabhu, but Guru na sasyat, Pita na sasyat, Janani na sasyat. That continues.
So Janana Sasya, very good. And it is spoken by the incarnation of Bhagavan, Maharaj Rishabhadev, to Bharat Maharaj and all his 100 sons. Guru na sasyat, Swajana na sasyat, Pita na sasyat, Janani na sasyat, Deva na sasyat, Napati na sasyat, Namo chayetyo samupeta mrutyum. Unless and until one can deliver our dependents from the repeated cycle of birth and death, one has no right to become a guru, a family member, a father, a mother, a husband, an administrator, like a king or a devata. One is not allowed to become. So Srila Prabhupada is saying the same thing. The father, the spiritual master, the king are not to become irresponsible in the matter of leading their subjects to the path of ultimate liberation from birth, disease, death, and old age. Further down, Srila Prabhupada writes, the pious kings were not merciful to dacoits and thieves in the name of nonsensical ahimsa, non-violence. Srila Prabhupada is very direct. Nonsensical ahimsa, non-violence. No. Pious kings were not merciful to dacoits and thieves. They were strict. Srila Prabhupada writes, listen carefully, dear devotees. The thieves and dacoits were punished in an exemplary way so that in the future no one would dare commit such nuisances. Hare Krishna. Such thieves and dacoits were never meant for administration as they are now. Nowadays, thieves and dacoits from jail, they run election and they win and they become ministers. Just see, so many gangsters and gundas, they run elections. Prabhupada is writing here, look, last sentence. Such thieves and dacoits were never meant for administration as they are now. They are not allowed to become administrators, mantri and leaders. No. Srila Prabhupada writes about further Raja Dharma. These are all teachings of Bhishma Dev. The taxation was very simple. What was it? There was no force, no encroachment by the government. The king had a right to take 1/4 of the production made by the subject. 1/4 is tax, 25%. Now 40%, 41%. Very high tax. The king knew well that the Supreme Personality of Godhead never tolerates any insult to his unalloyed devotees. Very important. The king knew well that the Supreme Personality of Godhead never tolerates any insult to his unalloyed devotees. The kings were very careful. Maharaj Rahugana became so frightened when he came to know that this Jada Bharat is actually a Mahabhagavad Vaishnava. He immediately jumped down from his palanquin, fell at his lotus feet. That, oh, we Kshatriyas, we are expert in offending great Avadhuts like you who are walking on the Sadhana. Please forgive, please forgive. Accept me as your disciple. Although he was on his way to meet who? Anybody knows? Where was Maharaj Rahugana headed to when the incident with Jada Bharat happened? He was headed to meet the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kapil Dev Muni. Lord Kapil Dev. उनके आश्रम जा रहे थे भागवत कथा सुनने के लिए. And रास्ते में he met Jada Bharat. As far as salvation is concerned, one has to conquer the principles of lust, anger, and unlawful desires. To get freedom from anger, beautiful, please pay attention, my dear, for this brilliant purport of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada says, for salvation, agar Bhagavad Prapti karni hai, if you want to attain Krishna, we have to conquer lust, anger, and unlawful desires. Trividham narakashedam dwaram nashanam atmana kama krodha tatha lobhas tasmad idatrayam tyajet. We have to give up these things. Anger, unlawful desires, and lust. We have to give up. Okay? Srila Prabhupada explains how to give up these individual anarthas. To get freedom from anger, one should learn how to forgive. Hare Krishna. Tell me, raise your hand and tell from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, who has instructed that the quality of a Brahman is to forgive? Don't be angry. You are a Brahman. The quality of a Brahman is forgiveness. A Brahman is Brahman because of the quality of forgiveness. Anybody? Very famous incident. Keshava Dhrita Bhrigupati Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jamadagni Muni tells his son, Lord Parshuram, Re, what have you done? You have killed Kartavya Arjun? Like that? No. Don't do that. You are Brahman. The quality of a Brahman is to forgive. Here Srila Prabhupada says, one can conquer anger by learning how to forgive. By tolerance, one can conquer unwanted desires. Tolerate. Disturbances from various diseases can be avoided by a regulated diet. Not to overeat. Mita ahar. Kam khana chahiye. Should eat less. Very important principle, often neglected by devotees. So to avoid diseases, one should regulate one's diet. Yukta ahar. Not too much, not too little. Too much fasting also, the body will become frail. And then we get little sardi khasi, little cough and cold. It takes weeks to get better. If we are too much austere in our eating. Examples are very few. Most of us, we overeat. So we have to be careful. By eating less, the bhajan improves. Please listen carefully. Our acharyas have said, Niras bhojan, saras bhajan. Saras bhojan, niras bhajan. Who can explain this? Please raise your hand. Who understood? Yes, Kirta Sundar Madari, please explain.
हिंदी में समझाऊं?
English में.
Okay, so this means that if we have no taste in food, if we eat very simple food, then we'll have complete taste while doing our bhajan.
Beautiful.
Don't have good taste in, like if we have very good taste in food, then our bhajan will be very nearest without any taste.
आज चाट चाहिए, एक खिलाओ, चटपटा खिलाओ यार, पानी पूरी किधर लेके आओ, आज कुछ मंचूरियन बनाओ. If all this chatpata taste is there, so saras bhojan, niras bhajan. Bhajan mein taste nahi aayega. This is a known fact. This is digested knowledge of the scriptures. Our acharyas are teaching us. Very important. Money can be saved by avoiding undesirable association. Please raise your hand and give a purport. Who can give a purport to Srila Prabhupada's purport? Money can be, listen carefully, money can be saved by avoiding undesirable association. Give some real life examples. Okay, Sundari Gopi Mataji, you have not said anything. Very important point, Prabhupada saying. Money can be saved by avoiding undesirable association.
Like pandemic, we saved a lot of money because we did not go anywhere outside. I mean, and even kids' classes were also not there. I mean, some classes are just useless. Sometimes we just go shopping and we just keep taking stuff. So
Correct.
undesirable association was best in pandemic.
Okay, that's a good thing. Shama Kishori Mataji, some reflections on money can be saved by avoiding undesirable association.
So
Mataji, your internet is not good. We cannot hear you.
People who smoke or... Can you hear me now?
Now a little better. Boliye.
I'll type it. I was saying if we avoid undesirable association, people who smoke, drink or gamble, we automatically save money.
Correct. Shamchandra Prabhu? Very nice point.
Yes, something on a similar lines I was going to say, because the clear difference between devotees and non-devotees is a Sangha. And the non-devotee Sangha is all about how one can have kitty parties, the ladies, and then how the gents they want to assemble in Nukkad, in some shops, and then weekend they want to enjoy. These are all ways to just blow out waste the money.
Correct.
Devotees know how to preserve money and utilize it only for the service of the Lord.
Correct. Very good. That other day I was talking to one physician friend in the hospital, just like that. Hi, hello. We just happened to meet each other. And for 15 minutes, he gave me a class, 15-minute class on the importance of buying a Tesla. He said, yaar, agar Tesla nahi hai, to you are not a human being. It's a principle. Sandeep Prabhu?
Prabhuji, I was just thinking, if we are in devotee Sangha, right? We have Satam Prasangan, Mamvirya Samvidho, and all other things, right? We enjoy in the Krishna Katha. So we don't need a third matter to enjoy. But if we go to non-devotee Sangha, we need something to do the time pass. And that's why we will either go to restaurant, we will either go to movie and whatnot.
Logo ka din, like on the way to the hospital, most of my colleagues, they go to Starbucks.
Yes.
Abhi to hamare hospital mein Starbucks khul gaya hai. So the day doesn't start. Unko puchta hu ki yaar, why early morning you need coffee? Oh, I needed to wake up. Well, snan nahi kiya sabare. Well, nahi. They said we take hot bath before going to bed. Garam shower leke achhi neend aati hai, to sabere fir wo nahate nahi. They don't take bath in the morning before coming to work. Just brush, put your makeup, अच्छे से. Makeup bhi car mein lagate kai baar. I have seen. And they come and they drink coffee. They say, oh, I'm drinking coffee to wake up. It helps me wake up in the morning.
Yes.
So, kitna paisa? One Starbucks coffee must be at least $4 or $5.
Yes.
Why waste that much money? They go for movies, they go to restaurants. When I was graduating from Emory University, we had a financial planner. And I was getting a job. Salary thoda kam tha. So I was talking to this financial planner who Emory had given as a free consultation. So I was asking, ki, yaar, can you tell me how to budget myself in this salary? I have got 2 children, wife, husband. We are 4 of us. How to budget? Abhi bacche school jayenge, bade honge. So how you think this job is good for me? Will I make enough money to make ends meet? So he told me, tell me a little bit about your lifestyle. So I told a little bit. He said, okay, I will make a budget for you. This salary is enough. So he made a budget. Usme, after paying the rent of the house and everything, utilities kaat ke, after cutting all that, jo major chunk was left, usme he left major chunk for restaurants, eating in. I said, yaar, hum restaurant jate nahi, itna kyun? Why you have kept so much money aside for restaurants? I said, what? I said, average American spends this much on restaurants. Weekend में क्या करते हैं? Just eat. They go to restaurant, उधर बैठते हैं, खाते हैं, tip देते हैं. So if we don't associate with such people, we will save all that money. By associating with materialistic people, ये फालतू खर्चे बहुत बढ़ जाते हैं. So that is very important. Srila Prabhupada saying money can be saved by avoiding undesirable associations. So much nectar is there in Srila Prabhupada's. This one purport we can spend lifetimes trying to follow. Quickly, we are done. Last 2 paragraphs. As far as women class are concerned, Srila Prabhupada says, they are the inspiration for men. Women are more powerful than men. Mighty Julius Caesar was controlled by a Cleopatra. And what is the power of women? Shyness. Shyness is important for women. Srila Prabhupada says very important. Shyness is important for women. Adultery means production of unwanted children known as Varna Sankara. And Varna Sankara, they disturb the world. Most of the criminals, they come from broken families. This is just hard statistics. Now, last paragraph. The last item taught by Shri Bhishma Dev was the process of pleasing the Lord. Bhagavad Dharma. You see? Raj Dharma, Stri Dharma, everything was described, and then finally Bhagavad Dharma, Srila Bhishma Dev is teaching. The last item taught by Bhishma Dev was the process of pleasing the Lord. That is Bhagavad Dharma. Samsiddhir Haritoshanam. Pleasing the Lord. We are all eternal servants of Krishna. Srila Prabhupada says, and forgetting this causes of material life. The simple process of pleasing the Lord, Samsiddhir Haritoshanam, especially for the householders, is to install the deity of Krishna at home. This is Srila Prabhupada's instruction. This is Shri Bhishma Dev's instruction, that Grahasthas must have deity at home. We must worship Gaur Nitai. We must offer everything we have to Gaur Nitai and eat their remnants. We must have festivals for them. We must invite devotees, have satsang, kirtan in front of Gaur Nitai. It is an essential principle. Srila Prabhupada, for householders, we must have deities at home. Deity worship is absolutely compulsory. Worshipping the deity at home, serving the devotees, hearing Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, residing in holy place and chanting the holy name of the Lord are all inexpensive items by which one can please the Lord. Who can quote the verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita? It will be wonderful if you caught this verse. See, Prabhupada's purports are entirely based on Shastra. This is Shabda Brahma. Srila Prabhupada is saying, worshipping deity at home, serving the devotee, hearing Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, residing in a holy place and chanting holy name of Krishna. We can please Lord by these 5 things. Meenakshi Vrajgopi Mataji, please go ahead.
Sadhu Sangha, Nama Kirtan, Madhuravas.
Bhagavad Shravan. Then Mathuravas.
I forgot Prabhuji, this Sunday.
And Shri Murtira Shraddhaya Sevan. Deity worship. Wonderful, wonderful. I'm so happy. Sadhu Sangha, Nama Kirtan, Bhagavat Shravan, Mathuravasa, Shri Murtira Shraddhaya Sevan. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami writes, quoting Mahaprabhu, that these are the 5 Panchanga limbs of Bhakti. 5 main limbs of the 64 limbs of Bhakti. Very powerful. This is can be used to please the Lord. We can please the Lord. Thus, the subject matter was explained by the grandfather to his grandchildren. Bhishma Dev explained to Pandavas. So this is the Bhagavad Dharma. Look at the first line of the last paragraph. The last item taught by Bhishma Dev was the process of pleasing the Lord, pleasing Krishna. That is the perfection of all dharma. Atap pumbir duyashrestha varnashrama vibhagasha swanushidasta dharmasya samsiddhir hari toshanam. Samsiddhi, the complete perfection of dharma is hari toshanam, to please Krishna. I will conclude today's discussion by narrating a very beautiful pastime of Srila Prabhupada, which is told to us by Srila Prabhupada's disciple called Ravi Das, Ravi Prabhu. So Ravi Prabhu, one of the disciples of our beloved founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada, narrates that Ravi Prabhu became a disciple. Srila Prabhupada says, your name will be Ravi Prabhu, Ravi Das. So a few days later, he was on a morning walk with Srila Prabhupada. The newly initiated devotee Ravi Prabhu is with Srila Prabhupada on a morning walk. And Srila Prabhupada is talking about the importance of chanting Hare Krishna. And Ravi Prabhu, with his intelligence, he's thinking, okay, chanting Hare Krishna, we are chanting the names of Radha and Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. But in chanting Hare Krishna, there are 10 offenses. And Srila Prabhupada said on the morning walk that therefore more powerful than chanting Hare Krishna because there are offenses is to chant the Pancha Tattva mantra. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadādhara Shrivas Ādi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Srila Prabhupada said chanting this Pancha Tattva mantra is more powerful than chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Because Krishna Nama Kari Aparadhana Vichar. In Krishna Nam chanting Krishna there are aparadhs. But Gaura Nam, Gaura Dham, Gaura Rupa Gun, Aparadha Nahi Mane Tarite Nipun. But the names of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there is no conception of offenses. And they will deliver us very easily, very quickly, very expert. So, Panchatattva mantra, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, more powerful than chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Why? So, this Ravi Das is thinking, Ravi Prabhu is thinking, wow, then why am I chanting 16 rounds of Hare Krishna? I should chant 16 rounds of Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. More powerful, no question of offenses, only spiritual advancement, only spiritual advancement. So, I will do that. Then the walk continued. And then Ravi Prabhu thought, Arey, but Panchatattva will be happy if I chant Prabhupada's name. Because Mad Bhakta Puja Vihadika, the worship of my devotee is more important. So if I chant Prabhupada's name, that is more powerful than Panchatattva mantra. Because Panchatattva will become more happy if I chant their pure devotees, their Senapati Bhakta's name. So Mahaprabhu says in Chaitanya Charitamrita so many times, oh, I am the property of Vasudeva Datta, I am the property of Haridas Thakur, I am the property of Nityananda Prabhu. They can sell me in any market, I belong to them, etc., etc. So Ravi Prabhu is thinking, how much Mahaprabhu will be pleased if I chant Prabhupada's name? So better I don't chant Hare Krishna, better I don't chant Panchatattva mantra, I just chant Jai Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. I'll just chant Prabhupada's name. And he asked this question to Prabhupada on the morning walk. He gave his logic. So Prabhupada, my conclusion is that I should just chant your name. So Prabhupada talked about the Bhagavad Dharma, process of pleasing the Lord. Prabhupada said that you can make spiritual advancement by pleasing your spiritual master. Yasya prasadad bhagavat prasado. And your spiritual master is ordering you. In the beginning, you chant Panchatattva mantra and then start chanting your rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Why? Because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has instructed us to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra a fixed number of times. Therefore, because it is my order to you, you should chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra fixed number of times. You should do that. That is your dharma. That is what will please me. And by pleasing your guru, you will make spiritual advancement. Isn't that beautiful? Prabhupada's logic. Prabhupada said yes, but Mahaprabhu told us to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So you should chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. I would like to show you very quickly some very beautiful verses from Shachi Sunvashtakam by Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. We'll conclude very quickly. I want to show it's a very nice verse. This verse. Srila Raghunath Das, fifth verse of Shachi Sunvashtakam. Everybody we can sing together. Nijatve Gaudiyan Jagati Patigriha Prabhuriman Hare Krishnet Evam Ganana Vidhina Kirtayatavo Iti Prayan Shiksham Janaka Ivatebhya Paridishan Shachi Sunu Kimme Nayana Saranim Yasyati Punaha. See, Hare Krishnet Evam Ganana Vidhina Kirtayatavo. Please chant fixed number of times. Ganana Vidhina, according to prescribed rounds. So Shachinandan Gaurahari accepted the people of Bengal as his own, as his children. Janaka Iva, like a father, he accepted them as his children and teaching them as a father what? Please chant Hare Krishna mantra a fixed number of times. So Srila Prabhupada said, because Mahaprabhu has said specifically we should chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, I am telling you to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. By chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra and Panchatattva mantra, you will please me, and by pleasing me, you will please Guru and Krishna. You will please Gaura and Krishna. So you chant Hare Krishna. Don't change anything. So Prabhupada defeated his logic. So very beautiful. The whole principle is that we have to please Guru and Krishna. Specifically, we don't know whether Krishna is pleased with what we do. How do we know whether Krishna is pleased with this Panchatattva mantra logic and Jai Srila Prabhupada logic? How do we know? We don't know. But we know whether Guru is pleased or not, because Guru is Sakshat present before us. We can speak to Guru. We can ask questions to Guru. Therefore, my dear friends, we need a living Guru. This is the fallacy of the concept that the Ritviks have. You have accepted Srila Prabhupada as your Guru, but what is the proof that Prabhupada accepted you as a disciple? We must accept Srila Prabhupada as our preeminent Shiksha Guru. Everyone, he is Jagat Guru. For everyone, he is the Gurudev, Shiksha Guru, preeminent Shiksha Guru. But we also need a living Guru who can chastise us. Hare Krishna. Who we can ask questions, who can answer, who can tell us whether he is pleased with us or not. Therefore, we need a living Guru. So very beautiful pastime with Ravi Prabhu. We are very grateful to him for sharing this. How we should focus on pleasing Gurudev. Then naturally we'll please Shri Gaura and Shri Krishna. So we'll stop at verse 27. Next week, we'll continue from verse number 28. Granthara Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I'm very sorry, devotees, I went over time. Ajay Govind Prabhu, you have something to say very quickly?
Prabhuji, the first verse for what we were reading was talking about 9 qualities in wealth, and one of them was that we have to distribute the wealth equally. So what does it equally means?
So there is no elaboration there further in the purport, but my reflection on that is several things. One is that one should, as a person who is giving charity, one should not do favoritism, or one should not discriminate. Whoever is the patra, the recipient of charity, who is qualified to receive charity, without discrimination, that this person is nice to me, this person is maska lagata hai, to isko dunga. No, we should distribute equally. And also among children also, we should not discriminate that this is favorite, that is not so favorite. If the qualified children are there, then we should just distribute equally. So this was my take, that we should not do favoritism, and we should not be ruled by our personal likes and dislikes, but we should be just. We should be just, distribute equally.
Thank you. One more question which I have was that you were giving the example of the prostitute who gave charity, and then her charity was not purified and bhoga was not accepted. So we do also, earn money, and we also do charity. Not that abominable that we are prostitute, but then we are doing a lot of anarthas while we are earning money, and we are also often not able to disclose to our guru that what we are doing for the charity and other things. So oftentimes is it like possible for our charity also that we do not get the adequate results of it, and we don't get purified, or how devotees should take it? Because often it is said that we should purify our money by giving charity. So if that principle applies of what prostitutes was doing, then it is a little contradictory to the charity.
So actually, not contradictory, because when we say that we should purify our wealth by giving in charity, it means that whatever wealth we earn through dharma. See, it is dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So artha comes second, but first comes dharma. So dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So dharma, artha comes through dharma. So whatever artha we are earning money, it should be based on the principles of dharma. Otherwise, it is not wealth. It is pap. We are earning pap. So wealth can be purified. So when we dharma ke anukul jab acharan karke hum arth kamate hai, so that money can be offered to Krishna to further purify it, because it is still money. But when you offer it to Krishna, then that money becomes Krishna prasad. But if the money is earned through illegal or illicit means, like we are selling daru, we are selling meat, alcohol and meat, then that is not money. That is pap that we are earning. Like this prostitute. So like that. That's the difference. There is earning pap, earning money and purifying it, and earning Krishna prasad. When you offer it to Krishna, it becomes Krishna prasad. So like that. Therefore, our earning source of income also should be under the guidance of our spiritual superiors. They will guide us how to earn the dharma. Thank you. Shyam Chandra Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. My question is answered. It was very similar to our Ajay Govind Prabhu's second question. It is answered, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Dasosmi. Hare Krishna. Amrit Karan Prabhu.
Yeah, my also almost same like this, but we are living in temple. But a lot of time we could see that different people are coming now to give donation. Sometimes they bring the food stuff for cooking. So we don't know what is their conception is, but which mood and consciousness they are giving, but how they are earning. So I'm confused a little bit, like it is affecting us, our consciousness. I feel like that sometimes.
Yes, definitely. It will affect. If we take charity from people who are earning wealth in a very contaminated and illicit way, definitely there will be reaction to us, because we are accepting that charity. And the praman for that is there in our Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition. There's a very famous story. I'm sure you have heard it. Once Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj was being carried by his personal servant. And, he used to carry him in a basket. You know that story? Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj used to be carried in a basket. So he was being carried in the basket. And by his servant. His servant's name was Bihari. Bihari was carrying Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj in a basket made of straw. And they were in Navadvip Dham. And one Babuji came, businessman came, and he gave 1 rupee coin and put it in that basket as charity. They went around 50 feet, and Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj told Bihari, make a U-turn, go back to that Babuji. So Bihari made a U-turn, went back to the Babuji, and Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj said that give him that coin back. So then he gave the coin to Bihari. So Bihari took that coin and gave it back to that Babuji. So Babuji said, the businessman said, why Babaji Maharaj, why you are not taking this charity from me? Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj said, I cannot carry the burden of that coin. Your coin is very heavy. I cannot carry it. And then they left. Then Bihari asked Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, what is the lesson? So Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj said, we cannot carry the burden of that one coin, because as soon as that coin was put, I came to know that this Babuji is earning it by illicit means. He's a merchant and he's torturing poor farmers, charging them very high interest rate, keeping them under debt year after year. This money is earned by cruel means, and I cannot accept it in charity. It is too heavy. So Srila Jagannath was so sensitive that he could immediately catch that this money has come by cruel means and we should not accept it. So yes, we also we have to be careful. There will be reaction. That's why Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said for brahmacharis, don't eat unless you have chanted 64 rounds. क्योंकि वो जो अन्न है उसमें जो अन्न दोष है वो पचाने के लिए you need some sadhana bal, you need some spiritual strength to digest. If we are just sitting in the ashram and eating and the money is coming from anywhere, the question is, why should Krishna accept? Krishna will accept from a premi jan. If a premi bhakta offers, then Krishna will accept. But otherwise, we are not on that platform. We are not Uttam Adhikaris. Srila Prabhupada can digest the whole world. But we are not like that. So we have to use discrimination. And also, we have to have strong bhajan, so that even if there is some anna dosh, we should be able to, by Krishna's mercy, we should be able to digest it to some degree. So to answer your question, yes, there is definitely anna dosh. If you accept charity from the wrong sources, there is going to be reaction. There is going to be karma. So we have to be careful. We have to be careful. In the name of preaching, in the name of expanding.
We don't know how he's earning, but he's giving donation. Babaji Maharaj, he was so elevated. Immediately he could get it. He gets it that, and he realized it. He his earning is in illicit way, bad way. But for us, it's not possible always.
Yeah,
and we are not going for also collecting donation. Some other devotees are going.
Correct. That's why when we live in a temple or when we live in a mutt, the donations come. And we are simply accepting. People come and put it in the hundi. This Mataji also just came and she gave money. Breakfast mere taraf se. She sponsored the prasad for Radha. So yes, we are accepting. To run a temple, we have to accept charity. Therefore, we should have bhajan bal. Therefore, we should have sincere bhajan, because definitely some contamination is coming. And to digest that, we need to have sincere bhajan. And these stories are there of that Babaji from Govinda Kund to teach us that we have to be careful, and we have to be aware that yes, if we are accepting, then there will be reaction, and it will affect our consciousness. It will affect our consciousness. Therefore, I was talking, His Holiness Prabodhananda Saraswati Maharaj, disciple of Srila Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, he's sannyasi. Prabodhananda Saraswati Maharaj, a very famous sannyasi in our ISKCON. When he came to our home to bless us, he came to our ashram a few years ago. I was talking to him about Anna Dosh, And he very clearly told me, he said, all the years I lived in Krishna Balram Mandir, I did not even eat in the temple. He said, I had 108 Shaligram Shilas. I would myself cook for them and offer them. And whatever I offered them, only that I would eat. As a brahmachari living in Krishna Balram Mandir, I never ate in the temple. Hare Krishna.
Yeah,
I would cook for my Shaligram Shilas. I would offer them. And for years, that's all I ate. Then he said, my Guru Maharaj told me, now you should give your Shaligram Shilas to other devotees to do puja, seva, and you go and preach. So he said, now I'm traveling and preaching and I'm eating in your house, I'm eating in everybody's house. But, because he's Prabodhananda Saraswati Maharaj now, he has sannyasi and he has so many years of bhajan bal, so he can digest. Similarly, Gaurang Prabhu was saying that once he was interviewing Param Pujya Srila Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, the Gurudev of Prabodhananda Saraswati Maharaj. And Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj also told Gaurang Prabhu that in last 50 plus years, I have established maybe 50 plus Govinda restaurants in ISKCON. But not once in 50 years, I have eaten even one morsel in any Govinda restaurant. Because the standards are not there. For people in the society, it is okay. Instead of eating with onion garlic, instead of eating non-veg, you come and you eat in Govindas. But I may be criticized, this may be controversial what I'm saying, but it's a fact. In the Govinda restaurant, as far as I have seen, I have seen only one or two Govinda restaurants. The standard is not there. People are being paid to cook. That is not pure devotional service. That is not what a Brahman should be eating. Yeah, for people on the street, it's okay. You come, you eat. But Jivhara lalasa iti uti dhai shishnodhara parayana Krishna nahi paye. That is not first class prasad. Yes, they are cooking, but they are cooking according to menu. What you order, they cook. And I don't know how they are offering. Just by keeping some Jagannath deity in a corner in the restaurant or Gaurnita deities and just keeping. It's not first class prasad. There are different levels of prasad also. This I have heard from my Guru Maharaj directly, from Srila Radhanath Swami Maharaj, that prasad is of different types, different levels. Just like chanting is of different levels. There is Nama Prahad, there is Namabhas, there is Shuddha Nam. Even Krishna Prasad is of different categories, depending on the purity of the person who is cooking it, the person who is offering it. Maharaj clearly said in a class that someone is just become vegetarian, chanting 16 rounds, has a picture of Radha Gopinath in their house, and they're offering. They have just learned ring the bell with the left hand, chant these 3 mantras 3 times each, and they're offering. Yes, that is prasad. No doubt you're offering it to Krishna. Krishna is bhavagrahi. No doubt. But the question is that prasad on the same level as someone who has been practicing Krishna consciousness for 25 years, is saffron brahmachari, is observing brahmacharya, is worshipping the deities. He is cooking in the temple kitchen. He's Brahmin initiated, and with proper mantras, with proper vidhi at a proper time, he's offering that bhoga to Radha Krishna or Gaur Nitai, who are properly installed based on Pancharatri ki vidhi, jinki prana pratisthapna hui hai, not some picture or home deities, jinko kabhi bhi khilate, kabhi bhi sulate, kabhi bhi uthate hai. Properly jinki puja ho rahi hai mandir mein, Shri Vigraha, unhe a Brahmin initiated devotee is offering with proper method, and that prasad you are eating, that is definitely on a higher level than someone who is offering it to the pictures of Radha and Krishna at home. Both are prasad, but the quality is different. The one that you are getting in temple is higher quality. Even Srimad Ayendra Prabhu, he never ate in the temple. So many years he was a brahmachari. 24 years he was a brahmachari living in the ashram, but never ate in the temple, never. He would cook for his Shaligram Shilas. He would eat only that. So many devotees. So Srila Gopal Krishna Maharaj said, I have never eaten in Govindas. Never eaten. So these are subtle things, and I may be criticized for saying like this openly, but my intention is to simply make a subtle point that as we make spiritual advancement, we have to raise the bar for ourselves. We have to raise the bar.
You're right.
Okay?
Yeah, you're right. What you're telling, I completely, I realize it. And living in temple from almost 34 years, 32, 34 years. And sometimes consciousness is an up and down. Sometimes they happen, especially when they are not offering. Sometimes maybe in somebody's home they're offering tofu or whatever, soybean. But temple we are not offering. But without offering, how can we take it? That's
see, Prabhu, there are many doshas. There is sthan dosh. Sometimes the place is only so contaminated. Like I am telling from my own example. Sometimes I go to a place around 3 hours from Atlanta. It's a rural place, and I work in the hospital there sometimes. So the hospital puts me up in a hotel because I may stay there for 2-3 days. So I may stay in the hotel. Prabhuji, I'm telling you, really, with my hand on my heart, where Krishna lives, Paramatma lives. As soon as I enter the room in the hotel, I can feel the change in my consciousness. Because so many people have had illicit sex in that bed where I'm going to sleep.
Sure.
So there are those dirty vibrations in that hotel room. So many people. And next to me also people are doing that all night. This is a hotel in America. So it is very contaminated. As soon as I go to the hotel, I can tell you, Prabhu, it affects my consciousness. Immediately I have to put Prabhupada Kirtan. I have to keep it on all night. I have to hear Hari Katha. Yes. I read Chaitanya Charitamrita from the hotel room just to keep myself spiritually alive. Because it's such a negative energy there. There is one, I will give the example of our beloved Jananivas Prabhu. Jananivas Prabhu, he came to Akola, our hometown. And some devotee, and we were not even aware that Jananivas Prabhu has come to Akola. He was just traveling through Akola. So I think the train got delayed or something, and he was there only for one night. So one devotee, not devotee, but one ISKCON well-wisher, he took Jananivas Prabhu home for one night. And he didn't know the etiquette of keeping a Vaishnava. You know, Shadi mein, he was a contractor. He used to give carpets and mattresses in marriages. In India, marriages take hundreds of carpets, hundreds of mattresses, bichhane ke liye, zameen pe bichhane ke liye. So he had that business. And he gave Jananivas Prabhu a room where those marriage carpets and mattresses were kept, stored, dirty, dusty. He said, Prabhuji, aap yahan reh lo aaj. You stay here tonight. Jananivas Prabhu stood in that room for 2 minutes. He turned around. He said, I will not stay here. These mattresses and these bichanas, they are very contaminated. Because we don't know what people have done on those. It is so contaminated. Yes. He said, is there some initiated devotee in Akola? Someone said, there is Jiv Goswami Prabhu, Ayodhya Rani Mataji. He said, take me to their house. I will sleep in their garden, but I will not sleep here at night. So my parents were surprised. Suddenly, can you imagine somebody knocks on your door and it is Jananivas Prabhu? Oh, Bhagya, this is like such a place of pure devotee has come. He stayed and he identified our Shaligram Shilas, everything. He was very happy. I'm not boasting or anything, but I'm making a point that the pure devotees, the advanced devotees, they have very subtle perception. They come to know. Another devotee, he went from Vrindavan, he's a Brajvasi, Prabhupada disciple. He goes every now and then to Noida, Gurgaon for preaching. He goes to Delhi sometimes. So they arranged a katha for him for a weekend, 2-3 lectures. So he had to stay in a hotel. They put him up in a hotel. Prabhuji entered the hotel. As soon as he entered the hotel, he said, take me away. Take me to some sincere devotee's house. I will sleep in it. I will sleep on the corner, on the floor, but I will live in a devotee's house. I cannot stay in this hotel. So the organizers of the katha, they said, this is very convenient because your hotel ke hi auditorium mein aapki katha hai. Very convenient to stay here. Please stay here. Said, no, I will not stay here. I will go back to Vrindavan if you don't make arrangement. Make arrangement in a devotee's house where there are deities and there is nice bhajan going on. So the organizer said, why? What happened? What is wrong with this room? We don't understand. We have spent thousands of rupees to book this room for you. He said, for last 12 years, I am doing Akhanda Nam. Hare Krishna Mahamantra does not stop. Internally, it is always going on. As soon as I entered this hotel room, my name stopped. Naam band ho gaya. He said, this is Sthal Dosh. This is the contamination of the place. So there is Sthal Dosh, there is Anna Dosh. All these things are there, Prabhuji. And as we make spiritual advancement, these things become very obvious to us. So yeah, we should be careful. We should be as strict as possible. Slowly, slowly. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for sharing. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
That was me. Kirja Sundari Mataji.
Yeah, Prabhuji, I think so. I should not take much of your time because this is also regarding the same part, that how in the temple, we say that the bhoga is offered in a very nice way, in the proper way, and the brahmanas are there to offer. But sometimes, they have been sponsored by some non-devotees. Like we always tell them to come and sponsor. So some random people come and sponsor. So I think so you answered that we should not even honor prasadam in the temple.
That's what many sincere devotees do, Mataji. Even
Yeah.
I know in Atlanta also, there are devotees who don't eat. They avoid eating. Unless they know that a very sincere brahmachari has cooked and offered to Radha Madan Mohan.
Only about cooking, Prabhu, but like sponsorship also, we don't know from where it is coming. Like in Govindji temple, definitely the brahmachari or whosoever is offering with right intention. But we
Yes.
don't know from where the
Brajvasis, yeah. Yes, Mataji, that is there. So again, these are subtle things, and subtle things come into picture when we make spiritual advancement.
Yes.
So this is an individual thing. It's not a principle, it's a detail. But
Yeah.
Prabhupada said, love is in the details.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for the wonderful session.
Dasosmi. Hare Krishna. Mukta Sangha Prabhu, then Sham Kumari Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. This is regarding the earnings, right? You were speaking about earnings. That suppose say I have a house, I need to give that for rent because I need to make a living also, right? So if I give that rent for a person who is a meat eater and staunch meat eater, including cow eating everything, so the earnings made out of that rental, would that affect our consciousness, or will there be any negative karma for us?
It will affect the consciousness also, and it will affect that property also.
That property, I'm not going to use it for myself anytime in my life.
Okay. But definitely the earnings that are coming, that's a contamination. As far as possible, we should try to earn our money from as pure source as possible. But in Kali Yuga, in the modern age, it is not always possible, Prabhuji. Now, if you have a rental property, you don't always have control because sometimes the tenant may not, a devoted tenant may not be available. So you have to give it to someone who is eating meat, who is breaking the regulative principles. What can be done? I asked His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj that as a doctor, when a patient is in the hospital, I have to write all their orders, what medicine they should take, what diet they should take. So I order regular diet. Then the hotel, the hospital kitchen calls the patient 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and asks them, what do you want? There's a menu for patients also. So they are given a choice. And my patients are going to order bacon, which I think is pig, for breakfast. They may order some turkey sandwich for lunch. They may order again, eat some chicken soup for dinner. So I asked Srila Jayadvaita Maharaj, then I am getting karma because I am ordering diet. I am ordering diet, the patient is choosing. Patient can choose vegetarian also, but unless I order, they cannot get it. So if I am ordering, then am I getting karma for what they are eating, my patients are eating in the hospital? Srila Jayadvaita Maharaj very clearly told me, no. Because you are ordering diet and they have a choice to order vegetarian, but they are ordering non-vegetarian, that is their karma. So similarly, you are giving your property on rent, but now what they do with that property, that is their will. So definitely it is not very pure thing to allow people to stay in your property who are going to break the regulative principles and then live off that income that comes from such meat eaters, beef eaters. Not the most high-class Brahminical thing nahi hai. It is not a Brahminical thing to do. But then so many things we do, they are not Brahminical. So slowly, we should consolidate our this Prabhuji, our sources of income, and try to keep them as much as possible, as pure as possible. Therefore, I really, really admire devotees like Amarendra Prabhu. He has got a double master's degree, and he was getting very nice salary, starting jobs in America. With 2 master's degree, a master's in engineering and an MBA, he had so many job offers, but he did not even consider it. He didn't even consider it. Considering and then giving up he said, no, I will teach Sanskrit and I will earn my livelihood. It's okay if I earn very less money. I will keep my lifestyle simple, but I don't want to get into this corporate world. I don't want it to contaminate my consciousness. I don't want it to contaminate my Hari Katha. I don't want it to contaminate my Kirtans. I don't want it to contaminate my service. So his attitude is, I want to keep myself protected and pure. so that I can serve in a substantial. That's why devotees get so inspired. Now we are going to start Bhishma Suti. Day and night I'm hearing Amarendra Prabhu's Bhishma Suti recitation. How nicely he has sung with so much bhav in that Melbourne temple. Why? Because that purity is there. So we are not pure. What to do? So we have to therefore pray and somehow consolidate our income in such a way that it is coming from as sinless way as possible, and try to make our existence purified. So it's okay. It's not first class what is happening, but you should have some strategy. You cannot live all your life like that, earning money by having meat eating, beef eating tenants in your property. So it's not first class. It's not Brahminical. So just giving an example, what Amarendra Prabhu is doing, teaching Sanskrit, all the slokas are there, Bhagavatam is there, he's teaching verses from Stavamala, Stavavali. So it's a Brahminical profession to teach. Teaching is a Brahminical profession. And he's also teaching things that are related to Krishna, classical music. He's teaching Vaishnava bhajans, how to sing them in different ragas. So it's very nice, very nice. So these examples are there in our movement. They are the shining lights to guide us. We should take inspiration. So like that. Okay, Prabhu? I am also very...
Thank you very much.
I am also not. I am most fallen, very contaminated. But yeah, we have to slowly plan how we can make our earnings purified. Okay?
Thank you.
Shama Kumari Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you for the beautiful class as usual. Prabhuji, most of my questions have already answered, but एक जो question मेरे मन में आ रहा था that what we have doing, me and Prabhuji, we are not eating at the temple at Sunday feast for quite a long while, because we were also thinking about the income, as Kirti Das Sundari Mataji mentioned, that we don't know that who is sponsoring the feast and those kinds of things. So we are already not having there at the temple at Sunday feast, but my kids, one is 9 and another is 12. I mean, it's really hard to, stop them eating, because boys, they get really hungry all the time. They play at the temple, they attend the kirtan and then they play and all that. So they eat, at the temple. So I don't know, what should we do? If we want to stop them, what is the right way, or shall we stop them or not? Or what should we do in this situation?
Mataji, this is very, very controversial, and this is we'll have to delete this question answer session, Ajay Govind Prabhu. Otherwise, this is very controversial. And see, Mataji, I'm not going to lie. I will honestly, I'm not here to cheat anybody. It is first class if we eat first class prasad, and certain temples, the standards are very high, very good, and we become purified by eating there. I would say most temples are like that, but situation is not so fortunate. It's just a fact of life. Situation is not so fortunate in some temples, and I'm not going to point out at anybody or any temple in particular, but it's just a known fact that qualified devotees are not there. And devotees who are cooking are having extramarital affairs. So many things are going on in so many temples, and definitely food cooked by such devotees, at least I don't want to eat, because that's not what I have learned from my Gurujan. As far as kids are concerned, it's okay. They are at least eating in the temple of Krishna, and they are eating something that has been offered to Krishna. We don't know whether Krishna accepted or not, but it has been offered. Krishna accepts if a sincere devotee offers. Even if the devotee may be not initiated, Krishna will accept if it's offered with sincerity and devotion. But Krishna will not accept even from a Brahmin initiated devotee if that devotee is a kapati person, is a duplicitous person. He's posing to be a Brahman, but is not Brahminical in his acharan, in his behavior. So it just depends. We don't know. So as far as children are concerned, the general principle is, at least they are eating in the temple and they are eating food that has been offered. So if they want to eat, I would not discourage them or stop them. Because like we discussed very clearly, these things that we are discussing, these are subtle things. And these come slowly into picture as we make spiritual advancement. So for children, I would not impose it so much, especially if they want to eat. Let them eat. It's good to eat in the temple. That's what I would say. But if somebody knows that some things are not right and the quality is not maintained in a particular place, then we should discourage our children from eating, and we should give them nice, tasty, sumptuous, healthy prasad cooked at home. I think that is better. As parents, we have to protect our children. So I would not overemphasize it and appear fanatic and make them feel deprived. But if I know that something is wrong in a particular temple and I have concerns about the character of certain devotees, I would take precautions, definitely. And that is a Siddhanta. Siddhanta doesn't change because of society and political considerations. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Shamchandra Prabhu?
Yeah, sorry, Prabhu. I don't want to prolong this, but a quick thought came in our mind because, we as devotees, we need to take care of one more important, aspect. That is, see, many devotees sometimes, they think of making their money grow by investing in stocks or maybe even in mutual funds in India, Now, the mutual fund manager, where is investing your money, one doesn't know. Like, normally it is just known as mid-cap companies or top caps, different caps are there. It could be a meat processing company, for example, it could be a liquor company. And as an investor, one never knows where the money has been invested. So this is a very subtle way that we, get this karma back by, wrong choice of decision in making this investment. So this just thought came in our mind. So I think as devotees, we all need to take care of this also. That's why I once heard from Mukund Madhav Prabhu, the Vice President in ISKCON Juhu, that ISKCON temples normally don't prefer to put their money in stocks and mutual funds. They prefer to keep it in FDs, the bank FDs, which is supposed to be, the lowest amongst all the karma. Of course, there's no interest, not much of interest these days coming out of it. But we have to, if we have to take a trade-off between this and that, what actually helps, that we have to see. Just thought of giving this addition. That's
very, very practical and very important point, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. So there is one question in the chat box. Shama Kishori Mataji is asking, in certain temples, people earn money through selling liquor, etc. and donate 10% of their income. So are they not purified? Again, this is not first class. Prabhupada never encouraged us to sell liquor and earn money. So this is definitely not bona fide. And again, the local temples have to decide on their at their level what should be done. But devotees should not be doing this. Should not be earning money by selling liquor and meat. That is not proper. And there is another question privately sent. Hare Krishna. Sometimes we see Strī Dharma is promoted more than Bhagavad Dharma for women. It's natural for a woman to look after family and care for their children. But if they try and do intense bhajan, they are not encouraged. Because some scriptures say that if a woman is chaste to her husband, she will attain the higher goal. But my question is, why some devotees conveniently pick these lines from scriptures to cover up their weak sadhana and encourage devotees around them? Well, this is wrong. This is wrong. Srila Prabhupada, he gave Gayatri Mantra, Brahmin Diksha, the Gayatri Mantras to Matajis. No other Acharya has done this. No other Acharya. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur also. He initiated Matajis, but to give them Brahmin Mantra, to give them the Gayatri Mantra, I think even today in the Gaudiya Math also they don't do it. It's only in ISKCON that Matajis are given the Gayatri Mantra and the ability to come on the altar in a temple and engage in Archana Vidhi for the deities, deity worship. And when Srila Prabhupada was asked, Srila Prabhupada said that there will be some sincere devotees. In the future, they will become gopis and manjaris in Golok Vrindavan. So they have come in female bodies. We should encourage them. How can we stop them from doing deity worship and chanting the Kam Gayatri Mantra? So Prabhupada was very bold, very practical. And he said, so yes, there is Strī Dharma, there is Kula Dharma, and but these are lower dharmas. Krishna says, Jivara Swarupa Krishna Nitya Das, and Sarva Dharman Parityaja Mamekam Sharanam. Give up all these lower dharmas, Strī Dharma, Kula Dharma, and just surrender to Krishna. This is Uttama Bhakti. It's not for everyone. But our path, Krishna consciousness, ISKCON, is here to teach pure devotional service. Srila Prabhupada has not come, circled the globe 14 times to teach some lower dharma. Srila Prabhupada is teaching the highest dharma. Savai Pumsa Paro Dharma, Yato Bhakti Radhokshaji. On the path of Uttama Bhakti, It is it's a path of Bhagavad Dharma, and it should be encouraged. If someone wants to do intense bhajan, that should be encouraged. And a husband should actually take shelter of such a wife who is bhajan parayan, instead of saying that, oh, you just serve me and by serving me you will get Krishna. No, a wife will get Krishna if the husband is a pure devotee. Then by serving a pure devotee husband, the wife will get Krishna. Mahaprabhu told Raghunath Bhatta Goswami to serve Tapan Mishra and his mother because they were pure devotees. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu clearly told Gopal Bhatta Goswami to serve Venkata Bhatta and his mother because they were pure devotees. Whereas because Govardhan Majumdar and his wife and his uncle and Raghunath Das Goswami's uncle Hiranya Majumdar, they were not pure devotees. Mahaprabhu told him, leave and come. And Mahaprabhu embraced Raghunath Das Goswami when he came to Jagannath Puri, giving up the association of his father, uncle and mother, because they were not pure devotees. They were devotees, but they were not pure devotees. They were Karma Mishra Bhaktas. And Mahaprabhu told that they are like worms in the stool. All their wealth is like stool, and they are rolling about in that stool of wealth. Mahaprabhu says this. So Mahaprabhu is saying that you can serve your husband and get Krishna if your husband is a pure devotee. But your husband is not a pure devotee. He is just a happy-go-lucky devotee, half-baked devotee, lukewarm devotee. And he's saying, don't do bhajan, you serve me by serving me. That is the... no husband should have the audacity to speak like this to one's wife who is bhajan parayan, who is interested in doing sincere bhajan. So this is wrong. And preachers should not encourage these lower dharmas. It's very unfortunate. I have also seen this. Sometimes devotees do that. They give more. One devotee was preaching that don't read Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita. First read Mahabharata. He gives everyday classes, he's giving classes, and devotees are listening also. He says more important is to understand all this three dharma, kula dharma, rashtra dharma. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur rejected all this when Srila Prabhupada suggested first let's get Swaraj. These are lower dharmas. They are important, but they are not as important as Bhagavad Dharma. So I hope this answers your question. Whoever has asked this question, that is wrong. If someone is on the path of Bhagavad Dharma and is doing intense bhajan, that is worshipable. Pranam karna chahiye aise bhakt ko, and encourage karna chahiye, support dena chahiye, sahayog dena chahiye, instead of trying to distract them. It is simply insecurity and envy on the part of the husband and other people. This is just a fact. I'm sorry if I spoke very harshly. And again, I am not here to tell people don't eat in the temple. Please, it is not my position. I myself eat in the temple. And but if there are some elements that you have concerns, then you should protect yourself. That is the duty of every sadhak. So everybody should use their intelligence. And we'll stop here. Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. Thank you very much. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.